You okay? You can do what you do. Hello. Uh-oh. Y'all can't hear me. Hello, everybody. And welcome. You can't hear me? And welcome to Behind the Veil. This is Stephen Williams. They called me the Good Bishop. Just hanging out today. You can already see that we're doing this again this week with our in-house guests. But Corona's got Corona's got us in such a way that we gonna be doing this on Zoom going forward. And so but you can already tell, and I welcome you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and allowing me to come into your space. We already have our guest that's hanging out with us. For those of you who don't know, we're going to get to her in a few minutes. That's Miss Tasha Coleman. You know what you did not do? You did not give me a bio of nothing that you do. So we're going to have to talk about that. Okay. But I want to welcome you to the Behind the Veil podcast as we're going to talk today. We're going to have us a good time. We're going to have us a good moment. And we're going to talk about the plight of the single woman and how she's making it and what's actually going on and how she survived. But y'all know how we do it. Before we get into that, we're going to get into our song of the week. And for those of you who don't know, years ago I used to, and I still do, I sing some songs, and they are not just your mama's gospel. And so I did this song with the Gatekeepers, and I pulled this up because it was so befitting as I was thumbing through my music. And I'm sure she's had moments, or every single mom has had this moment. Lord, help me decide what's best. And so this is a song from me. This is the song of the week. And it's called "Can You Help Me?" It was actually on the City Upon the Hill CD that I had many moons ago. But I love this drive and this beat, and we're gonna get back to it. We'll come back after we listen to the song of the week. It is by yours truly. "Can You Help Me?" It is off the City Upon the Hill CD. So if you like this song, go on out there and buy the CD. Stop playing. Send some money my way. So here we go. Here we go. We're going to start from the beginning in one, I think. Yeah. It's on. Cool. Gatekeepers in the house. Gatekeepers in favor. Doing this thing together. Asking God one question.
Help me decide what's best. Help me not make a mess.
I wanna make a mess.
Help me know what is the truth.
We in the house.
It's all right.
That's right.
Help me to understand, not act like sinful man. Help me do what you want me to.
Help me, Lord.
So many questions in my mind, got me thinking all the time, trying to figure out, Lord, what am I gonna do? Feels like I'm in a big old mess, but I know you know what's best. For this reason, I am coming straight to you, crying, can you help me?
Help me decide what's best.
Yeah.
Help me not make a mess.
Yes, sir.
Help me know what is the truth.
We in the house.
Yeah.
It's all right.
They in the house, y'all.
Help me to understand, not act like sinful man.
Like sin,
Help me do what you want me to.
Let's go.
See,
Let's
I've
go.
been holding on to my faith, trying to do it your way, but it feels like I am doing something wrong. Cause every time I look around, something else is going down.
It's always going
and it's
down.
the birthplace for the music in this song. I'm asking you, Lord, help me.
Help me decide what's best. Help me not make a mess.
Oh, yeah.
Help me know what is the truth.
I'm telling you the truth.
Help me to understand, not act like sinful man.
I need you, Lord.
Help me do what you want me to.
Come on.
Now I know that you have done this before, and it's the only reason I'm here today.
The only reason y'all.
You know I can't move.
It's time to turn it up.
Another step in my life.
GK.
The only victory I
Speak out.
have is the word to say. Now, here's the thing about life. This game, anger is strife for blood, veins start bubbling light. The flesh or the devil blinding my sight when I think I'm seeing the light. The devil telling me light.
Don't wait, the time is now. Pick up the pieces like shadow through life trials. You know you need this.
It's like I breathe the sounds of your cold and sleeve. Like Satan's blocking my mind. I feel I can't ease this.
No weapon formed against us shall prosper. So believe this. And like your cellular bill, you will receive this.
Know it all, you cause my flesh is like an avalanche ready to erupt.
She got it, Coleman.
I know you're trying to do right and feel you're on your own. And when you're not, there's nobody home. A hard head makes us off behind. Every time gatekeepers in the house say it's alright. Yeah. Gatekeepers in the house.
That's me. I feel like a DJ. I feel like that was a DJ moment. Thank you all so much. Listen, so that's the whole notion this week. The word of the week is, Lord, can you help me? And so I am certain that was a part of Tasha's plight when she was younger, asking these kinds of questions. Lord, can you help me? And so that's your word for the day. You know, just ask God if you can. And I know you can because you've done it before, so you can help me. And so I appreciate you. Let me say to my friend, thank you so much. I have her out of her comfort zone.
Way out of my comfort zone. Let's just put that out there.
And she came in here nervous, and I know this is out of her comfort zone, but I think it is going to be kind of helpful. And so a part of the let me thank you again for hanging out with me. All right, on Behind the Veil podcast. But a part of the notion that I wanted to do it, we had talked about the unfathered last week with Terry Phillips, and how we grew up with no father, or at least how I grew up with no father. And what that did was it took me to a place to have to deal with a single mom. Yes. So here she is. Here we are. I'm 2. My youngest brother's just born. My oldest brother's 4. My sister is, what is she, 5 years older than me? I'm 4. Whatever she is, she old. Amen. She just old. Hey, Gloria. And so she just old. And so here we are. We're stuck with this single mom. All right, and 4 children. This single mom, and I'm sure she was probably trying to figure out, what in the world am I going to do now with 4 greedy kids, and no man around. And she made an interesting decision, like we never really saw any other dude, come into the play. And so she had to do this by herself. And what we didn't get an opportunity to ask her, how did she feel? What was going on when we got older?
Right. And
basically, how did you make it? I have some choice things as it pertains to the church, because me and my sister often say we don't know how we stayed sane. Because Tuesday nights was basketball, Friday nights was football, basketball, right? And so she was not able to do that because she was in church all the time.
Right.
Like, I don't know if she ever made a basketball game for me.
Right.
And so as a single mom, we look back now and try to figure out how in the world did she put food on the table, and all that good stuff. And so here I am. We were able to make it. We were able to get through. And here you are. All right, in this same kind of plight, with not as many youngins.
Definitely not.
Come on, you can.
Will not.
And so we talk about the single mom, and before this is over, we want to talk about and see if we can help them and encourage them with their plight. And so I gave Tasha some questions, and so we can really just have a little sit down and conversation about it, and find out. She told me alarming, well, not alarming, but some surprising things that I did not know. And I'm just curious as to how you handle it. Again, welcome. And thank you again. So how old were you when you were with child? And let's talk about that moment. Let's go there. She has one daughter.
Only one.
Only one. She has one daughter.
It was
Destiny.
She's special. She's special. So I was 23
Okay.
when I had Destiny. And I don't know that I was really ready,
Okay.
but I got ready really fast. I was 23 years old. I was nervous. I was scared. I was somewhat happy. I
Okay.
guess.
Explain that.
I mean, I was happy to know that I could birth a child.
Okay.
Because I don't think that it was my dream to be a single parent, but to definitely have a child. But yeah, so I was young.
So did you plan, when you planned that, did you think you and the father would be together? Was that the intent? I mean, or you thought, okay, now that we've done this, we got this, I'm pregnant, I have this child, now we're going to be this couple, or whatever the case may be, this picket fence thing.
This was not planned.
Okay, not planned. Yeah.
No, it was not planned. But I do believe that there was, I do know that there was hope that, well, since this is happening, that we will be a family and things will be great, and the picket fence and all those great things, but it just didn't happen that way.
So let's do a broad scope. So do you think most young ladies, when they get into the situation, that their hope is that we are going to have this picket fence kind of moment, in the genesis of it?
Yes, I do think that a lot of times, majority of the time, I think that when women or girls get pregnant, and some do it, it's a planned thing for them.
Certainly.
It's a planned thing because they want to hold on to that relationship, or they want to hold on to that man. But a baby don't change. It doesn't keep someone.
No.
It just, that's not what it does. Sometimes it actually pushes the person away because they may not be ready. They may be scared. But I did. That was my hope. That was my wish. That was that's what I wanted for my child. But it didn't happen.
Disappointed that it didn't happen, or was there tension? Did he walk away? Did he say, I don't want this? I mean, because is that a part of the plight then, that emotionally you got to deal with this notion that here I am with this man's child, and we went into this together, but now here is the situation where he's saying, I don't want this. I mean, was that the case? And if it was the case, what is that emotion like? Because I can only imagine what my mom is going through.
Right.
Married a man, and now all of a sudden you got a third child. You're thinking we on easy street, but now is he saying, I don't want you, I don't want the baby? What does that do to you?
Right. So he never said those words.
Okay.
He never said those words. He was a little younger than me. And I think for me, I was really more of the person that said, I'm not going to be able to do this.
Okay.
There was no bad blood between us, I should say. And even now, there is not. But I knew that for me, I had to do everything, and I had to put forth everything that I had to my child.
Got you.
So I could not take care of someone else and try to baby this relationship that I wanted to work and care for my child. It became, she is my priority.
Got you.
You know, so I had to make a decision that this is not gonna work, and we have got to move on.
Wow, that to me, that's an interesting decision to say, here's somebody that I loved enough to be intimate with, to be able to have a baby, and now he does not want to be engaged, and I have to make this major decision, him or the child. Yeah. And there was something that you told me that this was a surprising part. So most of the times, my mother, I think what helped us is my mother had her mother. But during this particular time, you have already had a traumatic situation with your mom. Tell us about that.
Right. So my mom passed away when I was 21. So I graduated from college.
You can shout out that old raggedy school.
NCCU. It's not raggedy. It's the only school.
That's what.
That part.
See, that's what I'm talking about right there.
Only school.
That's
So I graduated from the wonderful North Carolina Central University. You know, and I was, and that happened in May of 2002. And then I lost my mother in July of 2002. So when I became pregnant, I think that was another emotion. Is like, can I do this? And I have a great support system. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
My family is closer than close. But I think that having your mother is important.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah.
And I had my mother for my entire life. So that was another emotion of who's going to help me, who's going to teach me, who's going to tell me, who am I going to call? And so, my mom passed away when I was 21, and I got pregnant and had my child when I was 23. So at no point in my child's life have I been able to call my mom and say, hey, this is going on, or what should I do about this? Or, you know, so that was pretty.
So discuss those fears. So, because there are a lot of single moms, all right? There are a lot of single moms, and especially in the church world, and we deal with that. And I'm having to adjust how I think about a single mom. And so I had a little trepidation today, because anytime it's not a subject of something that I am, contrary to what people say that I am, people say I think I know everything, but then when I don't know something, it makes me nervous. And since I ain't no single mom, this kind of makes me nervous. And so tell me about fears, anxieties that you were going through, if you can recall that at that time, about bringing this life into the world. You know, do you have a job? Are you financially solvent? Are you in Durham still, or are you here with your dad? And I know he's watching, you know.
Hey, Daddy.
Hey, Doc.
So, I was living in Durham. I was working for the state, so I had a full-time job.
Okay, good deal.
With great benefits. And I felt like I was stable.
Okay.
As far as financially at the time. When looking back, I wasn't really making any money. I was broke.
Wasn't making nothing.
I was not making that much money. I felt like I was, you know, but I really was not. But nonetheless, I had a job. And so, but I did have there was a lot of emotion. When I try to think back, and when you approached me about this, I started trying to think about how I was feeling, what were those emotions. And so like I said, I was nervous. Nervous because I had never had a child before. There was a fear of judgment because I did grow up in the church. it was in me. So I knew that I should not have been sleeping with someone that
Right.
I was not married to. So there was a lot of judgment. I think was one of the biggest things that I was concerned about.
Mm-hmm.
And I was scared. I was scared because I didn't want to fail my child.
Okay.
So I was scared, and I was, and one time even debated, like, should I really have this child?
Yep.
Am I really ready? And I remember having a conversation with my father. Well, I guess I can tell you this story without that. So when I found out, I phoned my family.
Yeah.
I didn't phone my daddy.
Well, I was going to ask you about that.
Okay.
How'd
so
your family?
Okay.
How'd your family? No, we talking. How'd your family do it, and what was that like, and how did Dad take it, and all that good stuff?
So when I found out, then we didn't really. Well, maybe we had cell phones, but it wasn't really the thing. You know, house phones was still,
They were still powerful.
They were still powerful, and that three-way was powerful. And so I think I phoned my grandmother, and we got both of my aunts my mom's sisters. We got both of them on the line because I said I need to tell y'all something, and I need to just tell everybody at one time. And so of course my my aunt Michelle, who is very much like my mother.
Okay, yeah.
She's very much like her. And so, I started telling them that, I found out that I was pregnant, and I don't know what I'm going to do. And so she was like, I already knew you were pregnant. So I was like, have y'all had the conversation about this?
Just like the old church mothers and all that good stuff.
So that conversation was fine because I was at ease and I felt like, okay, this is great. And then I remember saying before I got the phone, who's going to tell my daddy?
Really?
Yeah, because I didn't want it to be me. I wanted someone else. That was part of the reason why I was having this conversation, because I needed some extra support.
Right.
Well, I thought I did. I thought I needed extra support. And so they were like, you just need to tell him. And I was like, I'm probably going to have a heart attack.
Yeah.
Before. It was the same anxiety I had when I came into this room.
Oh, God, really?
Yes.
Jesus.
But I remember calling my dad that night. And so I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to tell him. And I remember calling my dad and telling him that, I can really just remember I was standing in the bathroom while I was having this conversation with him. And I said, I really need to talk to you about something. And he was all chipper. And I was like, I don't even know if I really need to tell him because he's in a great mood. And so I did. I told him, I said, Dad, just wanted to tell you that I am pregnant and I'm going to be having a baby. And he was like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah. And the conversation changed so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
He went on to something else. Like, I'm having these pop-ups on my computer and I don't know how to stop it. And I said, did you hear me? I said that
I'm pregnant.
That I'm pregnant. And he said, yeah, I heard you. But you are on your own. You paying all your bills. You have a great job with benefits. So what's the problem? You know? And so that provided me with ease.
Got you.
That provided me with ease because if I have my dad's support, then I can, between him and God, I can take on the world.
Right.
And so that was comforting for me.
So here's that role again to the fathers. You are necessary, even in challenging times for your children. And not to mention you didn't have your mom, but your father's there.
Right.
So that father really does carry a level of weight.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I believe that my mother's response would have been way different.
Got you. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think she would have been happy. I think, but it would have been a different
Different kind of conversation. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So you've made up your mind. You're 23. You're on your own.
Mm-hmm.
You made up your mind. I'm going to do this. Did you ever ask how? You know, because you're talking about, okay, I'm working full time, daycare. Did you get, Pampers and Similac?
So that's when I realized that I really wasn't making no money. Like I was,
You were making money for you,
I
but
was
not for
making
you.
money for
And
me to have fun and pay these bills. But when it comes to another person,
right.
the money was scarce.
Okay.
It was scarce, but and so I did. There was a lot of hows, not just then, but throughout the years. I mean, I would say even last year,
Right.
I was saying how,
Right.
but it's always equal to one. As much as I was in the streets then, and I wasn't like street, but I was.
Right.
I was having fun.
Right. 23.
23.
Heaven.
But I was still going to church.
Gotcha.
And I was still paying my tithes. And so even my friends or my best friend, she says to me all the time, and as Disney started to grow and I had to actually purchase my own car, and so she was like, I don't know how you do it. And I said, because I'm paying my tithes.
Yeah.
And I just believe that God is going to provide.
Figure that. Yeah. That whole, and that's a part of that upbringing that, that church actually does provide. And so, and going back, I can actually see why my mom actually had to have the church, because she didn't really have anything else but the church. Right. And so all, because we weren't able to have a lot of stuff, the biggest thing she was able to give me really was Jesus. And that's a big gift. And that's a huge gift.
That's a big gift.
And people don't understand that that's a major gift. And so when single mothers get into these situations, it is important that you not lose that basis for the relationship or the foundation of the church. Right. So let's deal with let's deal with the emotion of you. You, the person, you, the woman, you, the mother. Here's this responsibility. You're 23 years of age. Psychologically, what are we dealing with here? Are you okay? You figured, I'm just going to make it. I got this. That I'm sure there was joy when the baby first comes out. Everybody's around. Your family, I know them. They rally. Y'all still rallying, and I ain't quite figured out why y'all doing all this rallying. Time I turn around, you got to be somewhere. Yeah, but in that whole notion, like, what's this emotion like that's going on with you?
So there was joy. And when I was as I was reflecting over the last few days, trying to just wrap my mind around what type of emotions I was having. At the time, I felt like I had it all together.
Got you.
I suppressed a lot of feelings that I had. I think that when I look back, there were times that I was sad. There were times that I felt that I was alone.
Is that because of the situation, because of the baby, because of the...
I think it was a little bit of everything. I think it was because of the situation. I think it was because I did not have my mom. And so there were times that this baby is crying and I don't know why. And so I'm crying because part of it was probably postpartum, but that was something that I just kept going, so I didn't really, I try not to live in sorrow, if that makes any sense. Like
Certainly.
I try not to dwell on that. But when I think back, there were times that I was sad. There were times that I was stressed. There were times that I was depressed. There were times that I felt alone, even though I had many people that was supporting me. That feeling was there.
When we talk about it, I think one of the plights that got me was, as a pastor, I don't know if I thought about the mental anguish, if you will, on a single parent. And I don't even know if pastors really think about it. You know, for instance, we expect y'all to be at Bible study at 7:00 on Wednesday. We want you all to be at that afternoon service at 4:00. We expect you to be on the choir. We expect you to, if you're the praise team leader, come on, serve and do this. And I don't think we think about the Saturday meetings that we call, that require the single mother, not just a single person, but this is a single mother with another responsibility. And if you had a child as young as you have, and you only had one, just think about people who've had 2 and 3 children.
I cannot imagine
the mental anguish that they're having to deal with all of these things, plus growing up in and of itself, had to be somewhat of a challenging moment. I figured my mama cried many a night that we didn't know about.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that she cried many nights, and she just didn't want you all to see it. But because it is mentally draining.
Yeah,
it is mentally draining, especially when you are, involved in church, and you want to ensure that you are doing the work that you need to do in the church.
Right.
But sometimes you just want to tap out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to say, I'm not going, but it's an expectation, like you said.
Did you carry the shame privately from the church, or were you far enough away from that disappointment? When we talked about it before, because me and my sister laugh about this all the time, how in our early days in our church, the girl had to always get up in front of the church and ask for forgiveness for being pregnant. Yeah. And we always say, oh my God, older, right. How harsh was that on her? And then the guy was probably sitting over there on the drums.
And didn't have to say a thing.
He didn't have to say nothing.
It was incognito.
Incognito.
Well, I didn't have to get up in front of the church. And
Thank
if I did,
God.
I don't know that I would have stepped back in the church.
Right.
Like I would have just said, I don't have to apologize to y'all, and just not returned.
Yeah. And I say that because I think we've lost a lot of people by virtue of how we've handled single mothers and not dealt with the whole. And I think the church is better now. But I wanted to know, did you carry that shame? And if you did, how did you get over it? Was it because you were far away? Did you just mentally check out, or life just started happening?
A mixture of all. In all honesty. Because I think that there was a moment that I was shamed. But I don't think it was ever a time that I let anyone else know that I was shamed.
Right.
That was not, when I stepped into the church, I held my head high.
Right.
And I was proud.
Right.
Because again, I really just wanted to ensure that my dad was fine.
Right.
And I knew that I could talk to the Lord myself.
Got you.
But that did not take away from having some shame.
Yeah.
And I was far away, like from. It wasn't far away. I was in Durham, so I wasn't at my home church all the time. And I was going to church, but I was going to a mega church, so it was kind of like they knew they may have known my name because I was paying my tithes,
but may not.
But may not, They may have just been looking at the numbers, and that's okay too, So I didn't have to. That wasn't really for me at the moment. It was easy for me to deal with because I was not in, I would come back and visit, but it was just really that it was visiting. So I wasn't having to face those people all the time.
Got you.
Yeah. I wasn't having to face them all the time.
What was the thing that emotionally, when you went through that whole notion, and this is talking about how you survived, and this is why we're tackling this particular subject this long, during that stretch, what was it mentally that you said, what in the world have I gotten myself into, and I don't know if I can do this? Did you have that moment? And I'm sure if you did, do you still have that moment?
Well, as you know. So I did. I mean, there have been many times that I have said, what in the world?
Yeah.
What have I gotten myself into? And there are still times.
Yeah.
I still sometimes question, can I do this? Am I being the parent that I need to be? Because it's a challenge when you are alone, when you are doing it alone. It is a major challenge.
Even with support.
Support.
But you're alone.
You are still alone. And for me, it's hard for me to.
Oh, you one of those.
So I'm one of those people.
Oh, geez.
So I was one of those people. I mean, I can ask my daddy for money all day long, but when I'm in the midst of really needing it,
right,
I can have $5 and know I got to go 2 weeks, but I'm not going to say, "Hey, I really need this.
Yeah.
I really need you to help me out."
And is that to the fault? I mean, because I'm not like that. If I need some money, I ain't got no problem with asking nobody to be like, I don't let that kind of stuff. I don't know if I ever have, because I stopped needing $100 years ago, and so I needed 4 figures.
I definitely ain't asking for that.
I ain't got no problem with asking. If you got it,
send it my way.
Send it. I'll give you a cash. And so, but it's that emotional toll. Now, this was a question that I wanted to ask, and it's not on our question. Okay. Did that make you jittery about other relationships for the potential of, okay, I don't want to, are you then looking for somebody else to maybe play this role of a father? Or I don't want to do this because I don't want to get pregnant again. I don't want to go down this road, because we're dealing with a lot of single women in our ministries, and they have this plight of, they just don't want to get it. They suppress for the sake of the child or for the sake of the circumstance. And, I'm just curious, and we don't have to go into detail. I was thinking about that question. Did that carry over with your child, or I don't want to do this again, or I don't want to get pregnant again, or I don't want whatever that situation, or I want somebody for this picket fence, because we promote this picket fence.
Right. So I definitely wanted someone, definitely wanted to have a relationship. I definitely knew that I was not having another child.
Okay.
That was a definite no. I knew that I wasn't going down this road again.
Gotcha.
But I definitely wanted someone. But I never wanted to have a lot of someones, because I wanted to ensure that what I'm teaching my daughter and what she sees is not that my mom had a lot of men. And so, because kids watch.
Yeah.
And they learn from what they see. And so I never wanted her to say, oh, well, my mom had a lot of men, so it's okay for me to do the same thing. Yeah. So very cautious and careful about relationships, and even now, I mean, I think that if I was to be dating someone right now, initially they would not have communication with my child,
right?
Because I want to ensure that this is going to be, you're someone I even want to introduce her to.
Right.
Even if it's not going to be long term, which is something that I would prefer, I want to make sure that you are good enough to even meet her.
Right. Yeah. It's a protective mechanism.
It is.
And before my time leaves, because one of the things that intrigued me, and one of the reasons why I wanted to bring Tasha on was she said something when we were talking about this and how she was overcoming that. And she used the mechanism because you're talking about at age 23. And so we're dealing with young women, and I can see like 5 of them right now in my head, around that's got children, and the plight of, the anguish of not having the father with the relationship, and that being kind of tumultuous. And so one of the things that intrigued me and that I wanted to have you on here is how you dealt with that anxiety, those moments of tears, depression, all of that. And I think it has been frowned upon in the church. And I think it's something worth us having a conversation about of how to overcome some of this.
Right.
And so let's dig into that. Here we go. Let's unpack that piece and let's discuss that. And how'd you get to what you were doing?
So therapy is major. I'm a firm believer that it's important to have counseling. And it's one of the things that helped me tremendously. I mean, prayer is great. God will always make a way, but the counseling is what helped me, one, realize that I was having those emotions, because like you said, there's a suppress, you're suppressing, you're suppressing, so you're suppressing. And so at some point you have to unpack and you have to deal with the truth. And so therapy allowed me to deal with that truth. It was a life-changing thing for me, I think.
What made you go? What made you decide to even go that route?
Well, I worked in mental health. And so I knew that therapy was beneficial, and I never had utilized it for myself. And I was speaking with one of my coworkers, and she made the suggestion. She was a therapist, and she made the suggestion that I seek out a therapist. And because one day I went into work and I was just a wreck.
You had a moment.
I had a moment, like driving in my car. One song came on, and I could not even pull myself together. Once I went in. I remember it like it was yesterday. I went in with my shades on, went straight to my office.
Do you remember the song?
It was a Mary J. Blige song. I can't remember the name of it right now, but yeah, it was Mary J. Blige song, and I went straight to my office. And normally I go through and I'm like, good morning, good morning, good morning, and I just was like straight to my office. And she came in and she said good morning, and I said good morning, and I had my back to the door, so she's like, are you okay? And I said, I turned around. And as I began to try to say yes, tears are just flowing. So it was then that she said, you need to have some sessions, and so I was very good at telling people that they needed to have sessions, but never thought that was a thing for myself.
Right.
And part of it, is like you said, I mean, in church is say your prayer, God will answer your prayers, have faith. And all those things are true.
Yeah.
All those things are true. But it is, people don't understand the benefits of therapy because they feel that they have dealt with emotions.
Right.
They feel like, well, I talked to my best friend about this. And so I've dealt with that. But the reality is I have a best friend and I talk to her about a lot of things. But there's still a small piece that you miss because there's always that thought of, is there going to be judgment? or
Yeah.
I want them to, and even with your closest friend, they know who you are. They know the things that you're going through, but there's still a piece that you don't release because it's very sacred. And so when you go into that room with someone that you don't know, people are like, I don't know them, I'm not going to talk to them, but you will be surprised at how much you actually will release when you go into that room.
Yeah, we've never gone to therapy, but I think me and my sister, we have our own therapy sessions, and I think what she and everybody says this about us, and you'll hear me refer to my sister quite often because we talk quite often. But one of the things that we do is that we had to learn how to do, and that was actually tell the truth,
The whole truth.
and we tell the truth about ourselves. Like when I feel like I'm fat, I'm fat. I don't hide it. I don't shy away from it. But that came from them being cruel to me. They were cruel. They were some cruel brothers and sisters. Amen.
Right.
Treated me bad. And I think I had to come to the realization what they were trying to teach me was be honest with yourself. Be okay with yourself. And although I didn't do therapy, when you said it, I was thinking everybody is not built like that. And so some people may need to, after you finish, because pastors, we're good at what we do.
Right. Great.
But my profession is to give you knowledge and understanding. That's what I've been called to do.
Right.
And it is not, I somewhat play the role of a counselor, and I can give some advice, but I didn't go to school necessarily for that. And so I'm just trying to say to the single mothers, don't carry that burden.
Right.
You know, don't just sit around and carry that burden, because I'm going back, man, how many single moms felt ashamed that we lost in the church, that we didn't think that they needed more help, and they came looking fine. They sang in the choir, but they were broken inside.
They were broken. And part of it is because they are not dealing with their own truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is what it is. I mean, you have to deal with your truth. If you don't deal with your truth, you are going to be broken. You are going to be sad. You are going to be depressed. And sometimes it's hard to deal with your truth because you're worried about what everybody else is going to think about the truth.
So, I mean, God, have we done a bad job? I often wonder. And I mean, you sitting up, Mary J. Blige self, you sitting up in the church. Has the church put a lot of pressure on people to perform, live a lifestyle that when they break it, they become more hypocritical? You know what I'm saying? By not dealing with the truth, they just hide these emotions. And we're having to deal with this broken person later on down the line that's still looking to be patched up by somebody when they themselves are broken. It's hard for you to be broken and get patched at
You can't.
To proclaim that patching.
Yes.
But you broke.
You broke. And I don't want to say that the church has failed, but I do believe that, and it's hard because, you know, it's not that the church does not know that these things are happening, or the person is a single parent, whether it's a mother or father, but the expectation is that you're living by the word.
Yeah.
And so, and that's great, and that's important. But it is important to reach out to that person and help them be patched. Like, say that it's okay, because people are living with shame, you know.
Yeah.
And so if you're living in shame and you're coming to church and you really are wanting to, a lot of times I can't say, because everybody is different, but you are there's a fakeness.
I call it liars. We become hypocritical.
Yeah,
We really become hypocritical.
Yeah, that's true.
And we play that role like we're okay. And I want to deal with that whole notion. And it's to me, America, we need to deal with the shame of maybe not just being a single mom, but whatever it was that you did. You can get over the shame of that.
Yes.
And there is no,
There's no growth without getting over it.
There is no growth.
You are not growing. There's no growth.
Yeah. Until
you have dealt with it, until you have moved past it.
And there's no perfection in any of us. I don't know why we thought. I don't know why we thought we're gonna be Superman and we're gonna get everything right.
You're not.
And the shame of that, not willing to be able to be truthful with yourself, keeps you hidden, and I think keeps you from blossoming. And Tasha used therapy as that mechanism. Sometimes we've used. I think my mom used praise and prayer. She prayed till that was her mantra.
Right.
But I think going back, she prayed about it, and I think she was more spiritual on one hand, and she did not understand to go to a movie on the other hand.
Right, because self-care is important.
Self-care is, let's say that one more game.
Self-care is very important. Like you have to. That is another major part of it, is that you have to have self-care, and it's difficult when you are a single parent, because you, in your mind, you are saying, how am I going to get it in? Where is that going to come from?
Let's unpack that and find it. Tell me more about self-care. What does that mean? What does that look like? What should I be doing?
So sometimes self-care is just being able to have peace and quiet. Like as a single mom, and I think about me now as a single parent prior to this COVID stuff, I was constantly, as you know, moving.
Yeah.
There's always something. Monday through Sunday there is something, but it's important for me to find a time that I focus on just myself, that I'm able to just think about my own thoughts, whether it's early in the morning, whether it's late in the evening, maybe a day out of the week where you are going for a walk. It's just paying attention to your own needs, because as mothers, even as mothers that are not single, you don't always pay attention to your own needs. You don't always pay attention to what your body is saying.
Sharice Lindsay, who we had on one,
she said it perfect.
She said, you got to put yourself down
on the calendar.
Put yourself on the calendar.
You got to put yourself down.
Yeah, because if you don't put yourself down, then this stuff builds up, and this expectation builds up, and and you're forced to be 50, 60 and never having dealt with the shame of what that was, and even with yourself. So what'd you call it?
Self-care.
Self-care. I was going to say self-help. I was like, that ain't what you said. Self-care. And so you must be able, as a single parent, to find that quietness. What was the joys that you had in being a single mom? I've talked a lot about the pressures, but what's the joys?
The joys, one of the biggest joys is just being able to watch my child grow up.
Okay.
To see her in all the different stages, from baby until now. Her personality, as you know, is it's much different than mine.
She's off the chain.
She is. But it's been a joy to see her grow and develop, and even a joy to know there are things that I try to teach her, or I tell her, as a parent, you say they're not listening to me. But there's times that I'm able to see that she actually is listening.
Gotcha.
That she's taking in, even when she has an attitude, that she has taken in what I'm trying to teach her, what I'm trying to instill in her. I'm still very much church. I love God. We go to church, and so that is a joy for me to hear her, because she can be straight. I don't know where.
50%.
50%. And that 50, it might be swinging 75, 25. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you, but to hear her praising God or wake up with a song in her spirit, that is a joy for me, because that lets me know that I am training her up the way that she needs to go.
Right.
And so that's it makes me very happy.
Yeah, and so I always say it goes back to it, because you feel like at the moment this is a mistake. I shouldn't have done this.
Like, what was I thinking?
What in the world was I thinking? And so after getting through it and coming through it and trying to unpack that, you look at it and you say, man, this was divine. This, so God takes that quote unquote mess, really, and then he creates something so marvelous out of that, and it brings in a different kind of joy,
right?
And so I wanted to make sure that we tell, because there is a level of joy and excitement that comes. It's not all, it's pressure.
Oh, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, to me, it's the hardest thing outside of trying to be in a relationship and be saved. Raising children, to me, is one of the most difficult things, because you don't know if what you taught them they got.
And it just really boils down to them showing you every now and then.
Every now and again, you get a little glimpse.
It's like, oh yeah, okay, you're catching it.
Okay, so to this single girl who is 20, 23, 24, 25, she's just had a baby, or she's having a baby. The baby may be 2 or 3, 4 or 5 years of age. What do you say to her? What do you say to this? And the father may or may not be there. This is a single mom. She's trying to do it. She's trying to hustle. What is your word as we unpack this to say what to her?
I would say to her, don't be discouraged. Don't feel like you have to live in shame. It's okay. Your situation is okay.
Yeah.
Live in your truth. Know what your truth is. Don't feel the pressure to please everyone else, but focus on living in your truth and providing for your child. And more importantly, get to know the Lord.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you, I can't think of a time that I said, how am I going to make it? I said that, but I always knew that God was going to be my provider. So I think that that's very important to develop that relationship. But the biggest thing is to not live in shame. To know what your truth is, accept your truth. Whether it's that you're going to be single and you're going to be raising that child, or you're going to have another relationship, or whatever it may be, it's very important to accept your own truth.
Yeah.
Because that's where I think a lot of times we go wrong. So we try to suppress that truth.
And that,
you don't want it to be the truth.
Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want to tell the whole truth.
You don't want to tell the whole truth.
Yeah. And you have to be honest with yourself in the mirror. When I went through my divorce, one of the things that helped me get rid of my religiosity was when I was in, here, and the weekends I didn't have Jordan. There was nobody to blame. Okay, and so I'm sitting up. I can remember this like it was yesterday, and there was nobody to blame. And I'm sitting in the house. The house was dark, and I remember telling somebody this was Thanksgiving. So this was Thanksgiving. Right. So friends wanted me to come to their Thanksgiving. I said, well, I'm going to go over here and be with these people at Thanksgiving. And then I told them people over there, well, no, I'm going to go over here and be with them people over there because I didn't want to be at either place.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And so I'm sitting here in the house by myself alone, looking in the mirror, and no television was on, nothing. And I had realized I have nobody to blame. I couldn't blame it on my everybody goes back. My daddy left me. Okay, everybody, well, some people daddy left them.
Right.
My mama wasn't there. Yeah, I was poor. Yeah. When I started finishing with all of that, I had to deal with the truth of who I was.
Yes.
And when I looked in the mirror and answered, it answered me back. Yeah, that's you.
That's you. Walking your truth.
That same one who just got finished quoting that text.
Right.
Talking about good or bad, you going to hell. And I looked in the mirror and I said, you going to hell.
Right.
If you don't figure this truth out, you have to figure this measure of truth. And so to the single parent, and some people are on here, we are, I give the church a tough time. But the notion of the judgment of the church is that there is a mechanism by which they teach that you should do it right. And I know a lot of people don't.
Right.
But what I don't want to happen is, although the church may be judgmental, and I've seen a lot of people say that the church may be judgmental, the hardest thing, I think, is that you judge yourself.
Yes.
Way worse. You put more pressure on yourself as a single parent than even the church can, and you wear that.
And even more so now, not that it should be, but now it's almost somewhat expected by most people that people are going to be pregnant before they are married because it's happening so frequently.
Yeah.
And so, but that you, like you said, you're putting more judgment on yourself a lot of times than other people are.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
because for a lot of us, we like. Well, that's commonplace now. People.
It shouldn't be, but
and it really shouldn't.
It shouldn't be, but it is. And so you are way harder on yourself than anyone else is really being.
Do you think we've become desensitized to what's right and what's wrong?
We have, and we should not be.
Yeah, because I think we've made this whole thing of.
Not everyone.
Not everyone. I mean,
Right.
and the precursor for this Behind the Veil podcast is that I think I should put up a disclaimer. These are just the thoughts and privileges of what we thinking. It is not for the whole. We're not talking for the whole. We're not talking for every church. This is clearly only our thoughts.
Yes.
And so we hope that you're not offended.
Right.
If you are, email Tasha. Don't email me.
You can definitely email me. I'll respond.
She will respond. No, but I think that whole notion is now we on the other side where I don't even know if the church or if, and let's take the church out. I don't even know if we expect people to live. It surprises me when people live holy. Because we have become so desensitized to that notion.
Right.
And to that single mother, I just want you to know we're here. Find you other single mothers, maybe.
Yes. I mean, that's important, I think. Having support, other single mothers, I think is great because then you kind of create a network and you or community, because then you can support one another. You can allow one another to have that self-care time that's needed.
Oh yeah, that's good.
That's because sometimes that's what it takes. You may be in a place where you have no family, or your family's not supportive, and so you definitely need someone that you can lean on, because sometimes you have to say, I need a moment, or I need to get away, or I need time to myself. So I think talking to other single parents is very important, and you can always reach out to me. I'm on Facebook. Right?
She on Facebook. Give me your information on Facebook. What is it, Tasha?
It's Tasha Coleman. So you can reach me on Facebook or on Messenger. I do have Messenger. I don't mind being supportive because I know that it's necessary.
Yeah.
It's necessary.
I think I mean I wanted to have this. I'm glad you were able to come hang out with me. I hope this wasn't too bad. It turned out not to be as bad.
It turned out not to be that bad.
See, I told you it wasn't gonna be that bad. It is designed. It's freezing in here, but it's designed to kind of help us get a better understanding. I think I don't know how my mom didn't go crazy. This is 4 kids.
Yeah. The Lord.
The absolute Lord.
Yeah.
And so when you start talking about it, the absolute Lord. And so if we can say anything, from the both of us, find a relationship with God. I know
it's essential.
Yeah, and
it's important.
I think people don't value it. I think we've made it, economy and all that good stuff. No, it's a relationship, with God, and it is not. He really can give you direction. He really can provide peace, and
he's the person that's going to be there in the middle of the night.
Yeah. When nobody else
is
can, or maybe not able to,
he'll be there.
He'll be there, and that is definitely, I can say it from my place of being divorced and dealing with the stuff that I'm dealing with. But as a single mom, I wanted to do that. I wanted to make sure that I discussed it. And so that leaders, if you find this, just keep this in the back of your mind. We need to do a better job when it comes to the single people and just thinking about that whole notion of what it is that they're going through. They may look okay, but there is some unpacking that they need. Maybe they do need to have, some level of counsel that is beyond what we can counsel. And it may be, we need to be a little sensitive and maybe think about child care when we're asking them to be out at services and stuff like that. Because schoolwork.
You have schoolwork, you have sports, you have dinner. It's in this one person is trying to
do it all.
Yeah. And I've been that person, but where I am now is that I have to also create balance for myself and for my child.
Yeah.
So I attend those services, but I pre-plan, so I plan out I haven't been doing it lately, but typically I will plan my menu for the whole month. And on those days, because it's necessary. Between work and school and sports and church, I need to know. Now that we are kind of like everything is calmed down, it's not as important, but I need to know because I know that on Wednesdays it's going to be work, and then I'm picking my child up from practice, and then I'm going to Bible study. And so I have to prepare for what dinner is going to be. And I need to make sure that she's going to do her homework.
Peanut butter and jelly.
My child don't eat sandwiches.
That's your problem.
I created that monster.
You created that monster.
She does not eat sandwiches.
That's all right. I got one too. That's fickle. That's real fickle about what she eats.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to, our time is up. I want to thank you all so much. Listen, there is no way in these hour sessions on the podcast that we can cover everything. What this is designed for is to give us something to think about, something that we can unpack and begin to look at it from a different perspective. Dealing with having a single mom, now that I'm looking back, I don't know how she did it. It takes me 2 people to raise the peoples that I got. And so it is incumbent upon us to really pray for and to the other single moms. Please connect with other single moms, because I love that self-care. You need to make sure that even though this has happened, this has occurred, listen, God is still there. He still loves you. There are a few of us, we still love you. Ain't no judgment on our end, because we know if it had not been for the Lord on our side, and one little slip up here, there, or somewhere else, we would be in the same situation that you're in. And so you gotta understand, when we tell our truth, I have to also tell my truth. And I thank God for what didn't happen, but probably what should have happened. And so it helps me teach from a different place of compassion. I'll never forget how ruthless or reckless, that's the word I want to use, reckless I was as a child. And we just talked about this, dealing with them urges and how God sustained and brought us out. And so you can't get on this side when you don't have the evidence of messing up and become judgmental, because it could have easily been any of us.
You could have been the one that got caught.
I could have been the one that got caught. But thank to the Lord that I didn't. But whatever I did, I'm sure He get me back for it right now in Jesus' name. Amen. He get me back. And so to that, please, we unpack this by saying, you know, don't live in your shame. Own your truth. Get you some self-care. Find you some, what I call some teammates, if you will, some support groups. Know that even in the trepidation and the fears of having it, there is absolutely joy on the end of it as you watch your child grow and develop and become and all that good stuff. And just know that you do have some people who care for you. And I am a product of that kind of situation. And contrary to popular belief, I turned out okay. You know, some people don't think so, but we turned out okay. And that's because of my mother, where she didn't have money, she gave me Jesus. When she didn't come to a ball game and I felt like she didn't want to be around me, she had to get that was her way of staying sane. You know, family, make sure if you have family involve your family and grow and develop from that. I want to thank Tasha for stepping out of her comfort zone way out of her comfort zone. And you're not going to believe this. Next week, we're going to talk to a young man. Well, I don't know if he's young, but we're going to find out. And how about he was a single dad?
Oh, wow.
And so he had 3 children and he was left to raise those 3 children. Wow. And so it's going to be interesting to see the journey of a single dad, because we don't really get to see that too often. And so I wanted to make sure, because you know, I don't want to become desensitized to the single mom, but there are some single dads out there. And so we want to make sure that we give him the opportunity to tell how he survived. Natasha is doing an excellent job. Let me say this publicly, all my peoples who's on here. You are doing an excellent, excellent job as a mother.
Thank you.
Your child ain't in jail. You know, she ain't. She's very polite and respectable. And for whatever it is that you've done, how you've done it, she is absolutely doing a marvelous job. And you're doing a great job. I want to just at least celebrate you for being a good mom.
Thank you.
You're getting her up there. She tall as
she is.
She's
and she's still alive. So
and she's still alive. You didn't kill her through 13, 14, and 15.
But it's on the edge.
I told Lady Hope, if you think Mackenzie bad now at 8,
you just wait.
Wait till she get 13.
You just wait. You embrace this moment.
You love this moment.
Embrace this moment.
By 13, we the dumbest things on the.
Yes, we don't know anything and know it all. Okay?
And they know it all.
So it's. But I have enjoyed this, and I am grateful that you thought of me and had me.
Oh, it's easy.
On your show, or podcast, or is it a podcast?
Yeah, it's
kind of all of those things.
All those things. It really was designed to be a podcast, but it's just a video podcast, something or another. But hopefully we'll get better at it and do better at it. And we're going to keep on. Listen, please, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on Behind the Veil. We're going to do better. We're praying for all of the single women, all the single mothers. We thank God for you. Keep your head up. God is going to help you get that relationship, unpack that stuff, and make sure that you get your support system, get you some people, get you some self-care, and know that you can overcome it. You are not in it by yourself. If you need some mental, some more mental release, the psychosis is psychological piece of it is not a bad thing. No. Try it. If that works for you, to unpack that stuff that you've pressed down so that you can become better. Church is wonderful. We're going to do the best we can to lead you in the right direction. But if you need that extra step, here's a perfect example of somebody who's making it. And she had Jesus and the church. And so she's doing great. And so we appreciate you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today on Behind the Veil. Until next week. This is Stephen Williams. They call me the Good Bishop. And we'll talk with you at another time. God bless. God bless. God bless. I got to turn this off myself this time. So y'all enjoy yourself, and hit up Tasha on Facebook and ask her to be your friend. Just 9,000 of y'all just start asking her to be a friend. She try to be funny about her friends right now.
Oh yeah.
but she gonna hit you up, and so
follow me.
Yeah, you can follow her, and so she'll be that support system because she understands about the healthcare. Thank you so much. Until our next appointed time. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Bye.